Hello, I'm Ken Pierce, and I wanted today to offer you a tool that I think you'll find useful to deal with the complainers in your life. Dr. William Glasser, the creator of choice theory and reality therapy, developed probably one of the most effective models to deal with complainers. Dr. Glasser is in his 80s now, semi-retired, but he's probably one of the last surviving fathers of modern psychology. And being a chemical engineer before becoming a psychiatrist, he has a scientific bent to his work, which I like. Now, his model is called reality therapy, and it's in organizations is actually called lead management. And it's a very simple, practical tool to deal with complainers. Now, basically, it's a five-stage process. First thing I want you to remember is that underneath every complaint is the same thing. Everyone that complains has underneath that, hidden underneath, a want. They want something. We only complain when we want something we don't know how to get, don't believe we can get it, believe someone's preventing us from getting it, something. That's what generates a complaint. Now, when I was a child, there was a park in my community called the Alexander Street Park. It was a small city park, and it had 5 benches, one in each corner and one in the middle. And there was a crisscross path in the middle. And that bench is, in my mind anyway, a wonderful metaphor for the 5 stages of Dr. William Glasser's reality therapy model and choice theory. Now, I want you to imagine, if you would, that who is the person that you would perceive at this point in time is the worst complainer in your life right now. Just notice who it is, that person. Now, there's basically 5 questions you can ask them that if you ask them respectfully, with genuine concern, they will move from complaining to problem solving in a matter of minutes. Sounds strange, but that's the truth. I've used it for many years. Now, the 5 questions are this. Question 1, what do you want? Question 2, what are you doing to get it? Question 3, is it working? Question 4, what else could you do? And question 5, are you ready to make a plan? Those 5 simple questions will take someone from complaining to problem solving. Now let me give you an example. Let's take Mary. Mary is a colleague of yours, a friend, and she hates her job. So Mary has basically been saying to you for some time that she hates her job. Coffee breaks, weekends, whatever. And maybe you're getting a little tired of hearing that same song. So you say, well, I'm going to play with this walk in the park thing. I'm going to take her for a walk in this park, ask her these 5 questions and see what happens. Here's what might happen. You're sitting with Mary in a fairly comfortable, fairly private place where we won't be interrupted. And you ask Mary the first question. Mary, what do you want? You say you don't like your job. What do you want instead? And Mary will go to, in a sense, her vision of how her world should be. And she'll start telling you how her job should be. And she might say something like, I want to be valued, I want to be better paid, I want to be able to make decisions, those kinds of things. And as you collect that, that's the first bench. You say to Mary, okay, let me ask you a second question. What have you been doing so far to get that kind of work? And she will say something like, maybe I've been complaining to my friends, complaining to my partner, I've been applying for jobs, I've been staring at the window, I've been whatever. And she'll have a list of things. Once you got the list, and I often write them down. I encourage people to write down this stuff. This is very important information. Then go to the middle bench, the bench in the middle of the park, and say to Mary, Mary, has complaining got you the kind of job you want? And it's very important, wait for her to answer. Oh yeah, really important. If you answer for her, she'll shut down because she'll feel disrespected. You're judging her. Just need you to judge her. You need to respect her. So while you wait for her to answer that question, take your time, ask it various ways so she can say, no, it's not working. And they'll say it in some form. Ask her the same question for each one of the things she's been doing that she mentioned to you in the previous bench. When you've got clear no's for everything she's been doing, notice that she's actually hearing herself say, this isn't working. So she can keep her dignity and move on to other options. So take her to the next bench, the fourth bench, and say to her, Mary, what else could you do to get that kind of a job? You know, just let your brain kind of wander. What else? What are the options you might consider? And let her creativity kick in. Now, because she's self-evaluated in the previous bench, the middle bench, she's kept her dignity, doesn't feel attacked, doesn't feel put down, and that frees her to be creative. So on this fourth bench, she starts to come up with ideas and write them down. 4, 5, 6, 7 options. Once you've got a bunch, take her to the last bench and say, Mary, which one of those options do you think would take you towards getting what you want? And it's really important she pick it. And once she's picked it, then ask her very specifically what's she going to do, when's she going to do it, who does it involve, how she's going to do it, and where's she going to do it. And write them down. Then say, okay, Mary, you want this, you've come up with this option to move towards that. Is it a good plan? On a scale of 10, I use a scale of 10, it's totally arbitrary. On a scale of 10, how good a plan is it? If I don't get at least an 8 out of 10 from that person, I go back and revise the plan. It's too big a plan. Because you want a high commitment to that plan. And once they've got, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, then you know they're going to do it. Then you, because you have a relationship with them, they're your friend or your colleague, you can say, will you let me know how you make out? And because they care about you, they will. So you've taken Mary from complaining to problem solving. 5, 10 minutes, 15 at the most. And you've maintained respect. Mary has solved her own problem. You didn't. She came up with her own option. She's committed to doing it. She's starting to take control of her own life. That's the walk in the park. Very simple, very straightforward. And your job is only to guide them. You're the guardian of the walk in the park. That's what you are. And all you do is ask questions. You don't need to have answers. They have the answer. In Glasser's model, every person has the answers to their own problems. And I've found that to be true. Because everyone, see, the only person you really know is yourself. So you therefore have all the answers to your own challenges. Now let's take a workplace example. Let's take Joe. And let's say Joe's a friend of yours. And he says to you, oh, you're out fishing or you're out having a beer or whatever. And he says to you kind of in a confidential way, you know, I don't think my partner loves me anymore. And he's been hitting around with this for some time. You know, he's been complaining about this for a while. And finally he's actually said it to you because you've been kind of suspecting. So this has been on his mind for a while. And so you say to Joe, want to take a walk in the park? And he's not going to know what that's going to mean, right? So you say to Joe, I want to ask you 5 questions. I want you to answer them truthfully. Let's see what happens. And you start with the first bench. Joe, you're saying you don't believe your wife loves you. What would it look like? What would it look like if she loved you? What would you be seeing? What would you be hearing if she loved you? Tell me. And write it down. Oh, she'd say good morning. Meals would be on time. She'd hug you. She'd make time for you instead of whatever else she might be doing. Okay, that's what you want. And if you saw that, heard that, you believe you were loved by your partner. Yeah. Okay, take Joe to the second bench. Joe, what have you been doing to get your partner to do that kind of stuff? And he'll tell you what he's been doing. Write him down. Then take him to the third bench and say, Joe, I want to ask you to evaluate each one of those. Let's say he said, I've been complaining to her. Is complaining to your partner getting her to love you the way you want? And again, wait for him to answer. Just wait. Be patient. They'll come. He'll eventually say no. Okay. Joe, is avoiding your partner getting you to love you the way she wants? And go through every one of those options that he's been doing till you hear a clear, concise, no, it's not working. Okay, now he's self-evaluated, he's kept his self-respect, he's kept his dignity. Now you can go to the fourth bench. So Joe, what else could you do to encourage your partner to demonstrate her love for you? Let's look at some options. Well, his freedom, his creativity is free now because he's not put down, he's not been demeaned himself, he's not been demeaned by anybody else. He can think openly, clearly. He'll come up with options. Well, I could take her to dinner. I could buy her a present. I could take her away for a trip. I could tell her I love her. And write them down. Say, okay, Joe, which one makes the most sense to you that you're willing to make a plan around? So take him to the last bench. Say, okay, Joe, what's the best option for you? And let's say he said, I'm going to take her out to dinner. You say, okay, Joe, and you write this down. Joe, the what is, I'm going to take her to dinner. When are you going to do that, Joe? Specifically, what day? Write down the date. Where are you going to take her, Joe? Oh, that's the restaurant. Good. Okay. And who's involved? Just you and her, nobody else, right? Yes, okay. Now, how are you going to do it? Oh, so you're going to dress up. You're going to put on a suit and tie and make it a big deal. Buy her flowers. Okay. Now, he's got a plan. He's got this very specific plan. Ask him, how good a plan is it in his estimation on a scale of 10? So, Joe, on a scale of 10, how good a plan is that? And again, if you don't get at least an 8, go back and rework the plan till you get at least an 8. Because an 8, in my experience, is a very high commitment. And then say to Joe, hey, Joe, I want to know how you make out. Let me know. So you've taken Joe from not feeling loved by his partner, 5 questions later, 10, 15 minutes, to saying, oh, let's see what happens. Maybe she really does love me. Let's go find out. I'm going to find out. I'm going to tell her I love her. And then all of a sudden he's taking control of his life, taking control of his relationship with his wife, taking control of his destiny, and he feels empowered by what he's walking the park. And all you did was guide him to each bench and ask them those questions. Take this idea, play with it, try it out, explore it. Takes practice to front end, but once you get using it, you'll start using it automatically. And all of a sudden it'll become part of your toolbox that you use to deal with people in this situation and all kinds of other situations. If you want more information on it, please check my website. There's all kinds of resources, articles, there's a blog, there's seminars, all this stuff is all available to you. I encourage you to explore it and contact me if I can be of any assistance to you. And thank you.